the one and only Dylan Madden. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but we're going to add a bit of a twist here. Dylan, you're in an elevator with the most famous and influential people on the planet. How do you pitch yourself so they remember exactly who you are? Let's go.
I mean, easily, bro. I mean, it really comes down to because I've been in situations like this. I'll just overhear the conversation. I'll find a way that I can add some kind of value. I'll introduce myself in an impactful way and give them my Instagram. And then from there, we'll just start networking. They can actually see the proof of concept. Social media is a modern day business card. So, like, I don't need to sit there and pitch them and try to sell and do all that type of stuff. Influential people at the end of the day, they're just human and they're used to people almost like fanboying over them, like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you." Oh, like, who cares? Nobody cares about that. That's they're like, "Oh, okay, I don't want to talk to this person." Funnily enough, this was a couple weeks ago. I was in the airport waiting for my flight, and I was sitting there. I just dropped a money bag journal to the real world, and just looked to my right, and I saw Mr. Beast walk right by me. And so I saw that, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that was Mr. Beast." And so, anyways, he got back from where he was going, and all these people started just swarming him. I walked up, I was like, instead of saying Mr. Beast, I was like, "Hey, Jimmy, Dylan Madden, nice to meet you." I gave a very quick intro to who I was. And then I sat down next to him, and then we just started talking. And I was talking to him like a normal human because I don't look at him as like, oh my gosh, it's some YouTube celebrity. Just talk to him like a normal guy. I let him know a few things, like, because I quickly researched on my phone was like, "Oh, bro, that the series you just launched on YouTube is super awesome. By the way, I still need to try your chocolate bars. I know that you're doing it ethically, and I super like that and respect it." Anyways, him and I started talking. I started showing him my channel. We started talking about like YouTube and social media, and then just the real world actually came up as well. And to make a long story short, everybody else kept getting pushed away. I just sat down right next to him. We were talking, and then he was like, "Hey, you want to get a picture?" And that's why there's a picture of him and I floating around where he's like taking a selfie like that. So that's the difference between getting somebody just treating you like a fan versus somebody actually treating you like, "Oh, this person's actually pretty interesting." So yeah, that would be my answer.
No, brilliant. I think exactly as you say, there's nothing more cringier than when you see like the fanboy. You see it quite a lot with, I think personally yourself, I see so many people within your comments and then other places where I just think it's just so off-putting. If I know if I was you yourself, I wouldn't want to have a conversation because I'd be a little bit scared that they're going to follow me home. If I'm being honest, so it's yeah, I completely agree. I think like you say, being that normal person and not getting butterflies. Like everybody's human. So brilliant. And I can't believe he asked for the picture. I'll definitely include that within the podcast so everyone can see what you're referencing. Name of the podcast, obviously, The Real Journey, your journey into entrepreneurship. Was there a specific point where you just realised you had to go into it? There was no other option. It was no 9 to 5, no normal route of university and all the fun stuff that we get told to do now. Was there a specific point that you turned?
No, I mean, it was a bunch of different variables, and circumstances over, like, my childhood. Like, I was always interested in having a business. I just didn't know exactly what it was. I'm talking, like, literally as young as, like, 8 years old. Like, I would act like, "Oh, the Madden Corporation, and here's the structure and how I'm gonna structure it. I'm the CEO, and then I need this." So I was already kinda like that. But I mean, I could give you multiple examples. One was seeing my mom go without being able to eat sometimes so that I could eat. Another thing would be seeing my dad, because my parents were separated, seeing my dad be away from the family for months and months on end, and like literally getting to the point where I couldn't even remember what my own dad looked like until I looked at a picture of us. So seeing that and seeing how much she was like working, and I always kind of felt like the black sheep of the family, the black sheep of the group. Like I never felt like I really fit in. And then that only got more extreme as I graduated high school. Then I went to university, and it was a trade school, so it wasn't some like super impressive university. It was like a
Yeah.
trade school, a technical college, I think they call it. And I spoke to the entrepreneurship and marketing professor, and he had never actually had a business. And I was like, man, I'm already lost. I'm already confused. The person's teaching me literally drives a Kia, and he doesn't actually know anything about business. And so I spent the remaining semester just sitting in the library. So I'll go home, drop like pick up my bro, drop him off at school, go to my school, and I would just sit in the library for the entirety of that semester, just reading, and then I would go to my 9 to 5 at the time. And I guess technically it would be a 9 to 5, but my job, my part-time
Yeah.
job at the time. And I just started like studying books on business, on marketing. I found a book called Psycho Cybernetics. To this day, it's one of my favorite books. And from there, I would say it was just me working 9 to 5s and realizing like there's no future for me. Like I'm literally sitting here begging a job for a $2 raise because I've increased their cells and I've installed like an infrastructure into their cell system, into the how they're managing the employees. We launched a foundation that raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for cancer patients, and they wouldn't even give me a $2 raise. And I was just all these various scenarios where I realized, like Dylan, you have to find a way to make this work. And add to that, like just the various jobs I worked. Even I had one job I was making $16 an hour. So for all purposes, that's like a really good amount of money
Yeah.
as a 9 to 5. But I was still living paycheck to paycheck. And I was like, okay, nah, this isn't gonna work. And so I started dabbling in flipping while I was still working this job. And I remember I made while I was working at the job almost double the amount of money from this side hustle that I had working, I think it was like an 8 or 9 hour shift. And so it was like all these little situations that kept happening. And I just more and more started divorcing my mind from this concept of working a 9 to 5. Like I hate the idea of having to wake up at a certain time. I hate the idea of having to be respectful to people that are clearly stupid and not qualified. I like to be able to control my income. I like to be around people I actually like. And I mean, that really just led me down this journey. And I don't even consider myself like an entrepreneur. I just consider myself like an actual living human being where I don't want to be living in some like matrix constructed by other people where I can't do whatever I want when I want. Like if I decide, you know what, I'm tired of living in Dubai, I want to move my entire team to this other country, I can just do it. And like in my opinion, that's the only way that we should live. I mean, even in the Bible, it talks about how God gave man dominion over the earth. So like and we don't even need to go religious on this, but I believe if you truly believe in God, and for me personally, I believe in Christ. If you believe in God, if you believe in Christ, you should be out there actually betting on yourself and you have like all the faith and everything in yourself instead of putting it to some 9 to 5 job that if you were to die, what 2 days 3 days later your place has been filled, you haven't left
Sure.
any impact on the world, you haven't left any impact on the other people, and more importantly you haven't left an impact on your own family and inner circle. So I mean for me it was just common sense, like clearly this 9 to 5 thing's not working for me, I need a better way. And I'm not trash talking anybody that works 9 to 5, like I respect anybody that's putting food on the table, but you do need to reach a point where you realize that for the purpose you have on this earth and being able to take care of your family, being able to take care of yourself, like you need to think a little bit differently than what all of us have been programmed to view, like going to university, going to a job, having good health benefits, all this other stuff. Like you have to start thinking a little bit differently, especially with the advent of AI and all the different things that are happening around the world right now.
Couple of points I want to touch on there. So when you speak about religion, I true, I'm a believer of God, believer of Christ. What I've realised is the more I push my belief and the more I devote myself to my belief, the more I realised I need to be making someone proud.
Yep.
And that's what give me so much power is every single time I'm working out, every single time I'm working, closing clients, whatever it is, speaking to yourself. This is a massive opportunity. It is
Mm.
like somebody's looking down on you, and you can't. There's there's no way of taking that out, taking the power away from that is
Yep.
having that belief in yourself. Do you think, in your personal opinion, do you think religion is needed to be successful in all sort of realms of life, or do you think it's just another part, another bucket to put yourself into?
I would say I don't like religious people in general. I think they're too dogmatic. I think that they are too judgmental. I don't think they actually understand God. I don't think they have an actual relationship with God. I think they just recite some biblical scriptures and they are just very judgmental of other people. For like just for starters, like I'm not a religious person, but I do believe in Jesus. He's my Lord and Savior. I believe in God. The things I do to glorify the Father, all that type of stuff. I believe in that. And I would actually recommend you or even your viewers to take a look at a guy called Taylor Welch. He's got a very good podcast where he talks about Christ, he connects it to business and all that type of stuff. And anyways, I don't think you need to have religion. I don't even think you need to believe in God to be successful. I can give you thousands of examples of people that clearly don't believe in God and they become successful. I think there are certain rules and principles that are in place that work whether you believe in God or not. But I do believe for you to have lasting purpose, lasting fulfillment, both in this world and then obviously in the afterlife, obviously you do need to believe in God. And there's only one path to God, in my opinion, based off actual experience and just what I believe. And everybody can have their own opinion if they want. Cool. That's fine. But I truly believe that Jesus is the only way. And if you want to have an overall powerful life, a powerful impact, I would say believing in God is one of the best things. And there's a reason why everybody, even the most powerful people in this world, whenever they've got all the money and everything's going great, they don't really think about God. But whenever stuff starts happening, God, God, please just help me, get me through this. They all do it. Everybody does it. So
Everyone.
you may as well just believe in God now. The good times, the bad times, like a source of strength for me is God. Like, so I don't even need to rely on my own strength. I can just talk to God. Boom, I get hit with energy. So my final point is no, you don't need to believe in God. You don't need to be religious or anything to be successful. Clearly, like that's not true. But for you to have an overall better life, more fulfillment, more purpose, and all that, obviously, you got to believe in God.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect point. Similar to myself, is I hate the idea of pushing your religion down other people's throats, and that's why I don't tend to touch on it too much within my content because I've got my beliefs. My beliefs give me
Mhm.
power. Everybody's down to their own. If you ask me about my beliefs, I'll speak, but it's that
Mhm.
whole judgmental thing that comes from it, and that's what I liked about your previous answer as well. Is not judging people that have a 9 to 5. A big thing that does my head in is when you see these e-commerce, crypto, whatever else. We'll touch on
Yeah.
crypto. These guys that are all over everybody that's got a 9 to 5. And I sit there and I
Yeah.
think it's okay for a 16, 17, 18-year-old to sit there slagging a 9 to 5, but you've never been put in a position where you've got family to feed, you've got lives to look after. I
Yeah.
hate seeing that judgment. I think if a man's putting bread on the table in a figure of speech,
Mhm.
that is the key thing. He's getting up and he's going to work. What are your personal views on the people that do go around let's call them the crypto dorks, let's be honest, the crypto guys that go around and talk about trash talk all of the 9 to 5ers? What are your thoughts towards them?
My personal opinion about anybody that trashes somebody that is working a 9 to 5, like they clearly don't actually understand marketing and all that. They're literally trashing most of the human population, and they lack so much creativity and they lack so much intelligence that they have to actually start insulting people to get some kind of rise to be able to sell their products or their services or whatever. There's such better ways. Like anybody that works a 9 to 5 is honorable, respectful. It's way better than somebody not doing anything.
Yeah,
And like even myself, no job was below me. I literally I don't really talk about this as much lately, but there was a time in my life for a couple years where I was literally cleaning parking lots. I was changing trash bags. I was cleaning bathrooms. Professor Moneybag Madden, Dylan Madden, whatever you're to call me, himself was in a bathroom stall cleaning up where somebody didn't hit the toilet. So it's like no jobs below me, but I understood in my mind, okay, this is a stepping stone. This frees me from having to worry about a 9 to 5 from now. I need to do anything I can to give myself as much time while still paying my bills, as much time and energy to be able to put it into building this whole business thing. And it was because of that time frame that I was able to put myself into a position to get into a very good internship where I learned the publishing business. I learned how to run a supplement company. I learned how to run a blog, which then led me to closing some of my first clients, which then led me to getting into email copywriting, which led me into eventually meeting the Tate Brothers, which led into a whole other opportunity in traveling the world. And so a job is a stepping stone. So you've got two different paths. One path is using a job as a stepping stone while you're building a business and building whatever your project is. The second thing would be if you find a job that you're actually passionate about. There are some people that actually have jobs that they are super passionate about, they enjoy it, and it pays very well. So I don't think everybody needs to necessarily be a business owner. My personal message is You need to live the life that you actually want to live. Because I was at a meeting earlier today, and as I was waiting for the person to come and meet me, I overheard to my left these people going on and on and on. This person was going about, yeah, I think I'm just going to work this job for the next 20 years, and then from there I'll do this. I was like, 20 years? I would be freaking out about a year from now. So a lot of people just don't have urgency. They don't realize that life is very short and time flies by. I remember I was just 18, then all of a sudden I was 22, then I was 25, then I was 26 and 27. Obviously now I'm 96 years old. I'm looking good for
Yeah, that's cool.
96. But time just flies by. And anybody that actually wakes up every morning and they try their hardest, they have my respect. And anybody who insults a person that does that is a peasant. They're disgusting. And I don't have hate in my heart, but it's very close to that whenever I see people that are actually trash talking, people that are just doing the best they can, like the people that trash talk marriage. It's just like, oh yeah, he just sold his soul away or sold his life away. Like, why? Like peasants. Hookup culture. That's terrible too.
Yeah,
All these people put their stupid opinions out and they try to polarize it as much as possible because it gets attention. But I believe that you should just focus on actually creating value in the world and leaving a lasting impact. I'm not saying you need to be Mr. Save the World. I don't believe in that either. Like I could care less about what happens in the world. They can do whatever they want to do. I'm here to push my message and help as many people as possible. Everything else is in God's hands. Like I'm not here to save everybody. And I don't think anybody should have that mission as well, because you can't. It's not possible. I just believe in God, give glory to God, build your business, live your life how you want to live it, but anybody that trash talks people like that, they're disgusting.
yeah. I 100% agree. I think I used to be a massive football fan, and you used to always hear the saying, "Trust the process." Exactly as you say there is. I hate the idea of me speaking to somebody about my goals and my aspirations and then looking at themselves thinking, oh, well, I just wanted to work this job. Look, we're in different positions. We've got different mindsets. We've
Yeah.
gone through different experiences. I know what I want because I know what I'm capable of. It doesn't ever shove anybody's dreams
Mhm.
aside or anything like that. But I know that I'll put the work in. And it's that old saying of doing your best, not I remember speaking at a previous job before to somebody about what do you want to be? And I used to say, I want to be rich. And her response to me was, everyone wants to be rich. And
Yeah.
within that split second, I remember thinking, no, they don't. Because you'll have somebody say, I'll chop my arm off for £1 million. Well, no one's going to do that, really. No one's going to give you £1 million, chop your arm off. But you could put in 60, 78 hour weeks, working hard, grinding away for 2, 3 years, and that could make you rich. But you won't do that because you won't put in the time. So I always
Yeah.
try to balance it out with the sacrifice. You'll get out of life exactly what you put into it. If you want to put all your hard work in, keep trying, keep turning up, there will be some rewards without a shadow of a doubt. But if you're just gonna say and slag everybody else off who has done it,
Yeah.
it's not gonna go anywhere whatsoever. So, was there a key misconception you had at the very beginning of your journey into the sort of business world that you overcome very early or even late on, and you look back and think, "Why did I ever think like that? Why did I ever have those thoughts?"
Yeah, I would say that I underestimated how much time and how much effort it took to become a success. Like, I literally thought there were some people that just understood secrets and understood some secret strategy or method that I didn't, and that's why I wasn't successful. And so I started meeting important people, and I was like realizing these people are completely normal. Like, there's no top secret whatever about them or whatever, and which made me at the time be like, that's interesting. And then as I started gaining more experience, I started actually doing business, not just thinking about it and talking about it. Like I actually started doing business. I realized like it really, and I say this all the time to students, it takes as long as it takes. Like as long as you're focused on doing the things that you need to do every single day, you're focusing on the process, everything else is going to take care of itself. But most people lose hope. That's where coming believing in God comes in. Most people lose hope. Most people start thinking that they're a loser. Most people think maybe I'm just not worthy, maybe I'm not ready. And the reality is like even on my end, I've become quite successful. There's still things in my own life that it's like a challenge, and I'm overcoming that challenge. So it doesn't matter what level of success you're at. There's always going to be something that you have to put a lot of effort into, and it's going to take as long as it takes. Now, of course, for the beginner level, medium level, and advanced level stuff, a lot of that it just is common sense to me. That's why I'll go like money bag rant mode sometimes. Because I'm like, just follow the daily checklist. If you just follow that, everything else is going to work out. Or just post content, or just do this type of DM. And I do that because it's so common sense to me. But that's the beauty of life. You know, like you should be aiming to constantly and like evolve. You're constantly getting better. You're gaining more awareness. So the misconception that I had early on is that there are people walking this earth that just had some kind of top secret strategy, or that success would be way easier once I learned this one secret. But it really comes down to, yes, there are people that understand things that you don't understand, but you can learn that through actual experience. And it's going to take as long as it takes. And you have to come to peace with that. Like if you think that example, whenever I was like 18, I was like, by 21 years old, I'm going to be a multi-millionaire.
Yeah,
I think we
I
all
remember that.
said that at some point. Yeah. And it takes as long as it takes. I became very successful and rich. Took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but it happened. And so, would you rather actually achieve it, or would you rather live up to some expectation, some fantasy? Which that's my last point to your question. Is most people get stuck in this fantasy land, is what I call it, of being rich, and I'm going to get a Lambo, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Why don't you just focus on getting your first client, your second client, building up a solid cash flow base, start building up a team, doing the actual things that actually matter, do a little bit of traveling. Do you actually even want a Lambo, or does it just look cool on Instagram? And maybe you just want to post it to impress other people that you don't actually want to impress. Like all these different things, there's so many psyops going on around the world, and so many people they buy into the fantasy of being successful instead of actually being successful. On my end, I super enjoy that I don't have to worry about money. I don't even have to think about the price of something. If my mom needs something, boom, it's taken care of. If my girl needs something, boom, it's taken care of. Or I can send a bonus to somebody on my team that's been working their butt off. Or I can buy an iPad because I got annoyed with the notes app on my phone. I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to buy an iPad. So it's like, I like what money can buy. I like the freedom. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy driving supercars. I rent them, but I don't really see any benefit at this moment with me buying one. And so you have to get out of this fantasy land that other people have put in your mind of what success is. You need to define what success is for you. And then you need to start focusing on the process from where you're at now. You can't think about, okay, well, I'm going to create an SOP and I'm going to have an accountant. I'm going to, like, bro, you don't even have a client yet.
Yeah.
Why don't you focus on getting that first, and then look at success as just steps? That's the best way to describe it. Like, here's step number one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. And then boom, you get to this certain level of success, and then there's going to be a whole nother level. So, like right now, like this year, I want to master YouTube. I want to conquer it. Now, all of us will.
Oh,
Because
100%.
social media to me has gotten very boring. I've done it so many times for clients. I've done it for myself. But with YouTube, I've never like it's kind of been that one thing that I would randomly post content to, but I never really cared about. But a client of mine, I was looking, and I've known this for a while, but looking at the amount of money that's been generated from that channel and the impact that it's had on other people's lives, I was just like, I'm gonna get into this YouTube thing. It's exciting. It's fun. Some of my videos will do like 200 views. Other will do a couple thousand. So it's like I want to figure out within my own persona, my own brand, how can I conquer YouTube? So that's what we're going to be doing here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to have a proper studio set up. So yeah, it's just finding different challenges and defining what success is to you, and then just focusing on the process. That would be my very long-winded answer.
No, that's it's brilliant though, because I think there's so many factors there to touch on. I always remember when I very first started out of overthinking. So I was one of those entrepreneurs who read loads of books and had loads of theories and this sort of stuff. And
Yeah.
now I speak to people like that, and I'm like, just take action. Just don't even think about it. Just post a video. I've got a mate who's exactly the same. He's really well into his fitness.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Yeah, I'm recording content. I'm gonna get a big bulk order of content, and then I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna think of this, and just post. Just post what
Yeah.
it's gonna be crap. It's gonna
Oh,
suck.
it'll
You're gonna get
stop. Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna get 10 views.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, you might get 100 views. If you look at if you keep pushing, you might
Mhm.
hit that 1,000 views, and then you'll
Yeah.
go and look at somebody who's got 100,000 views, and you'll still feel like crap. But
Mhm.
you've took that. took that action. And this is what I say to my girlfriend, well, was girlfriend, now fiance, thanks to
Shout
you, of
out to
course,
you.
Dylan. Thank you for that. I always say to her when I'm working these hours and I'm sitting there and I'm posting content, and especially at the very, very beginning, it was like 17 views. It was even worse than what it is now. She's like, "Are you gonna just keep doing it?" I'm like, I don't know what else I'm
Yeah.
going to do. If I give up, that's the end of the game, that's the end of the story, or I keep going. So what else am I meant to do? I can go and look and analyze other people,
Mhm.
but there's two options. I quit, that's not an option. So I have
Yeah.
to keep going. And exactly as you say, trust the process. It's gonna take as long as it takes. Once I'm there,
Mhm.
I can guarantee when you move to Dubai and you're living the life that you live now, you look back and it was part of the journey. That was the fun part, is getting to the next step,
Yeah.
not just being there. You've worked hard to get to that point, and I look back at even just at the smaller level I'm at now, from where I started, and look, I
Mhm.
don't read books anymore. I just do stuff and
Yeah.
just stupidly, blowingly do stuff, but I still do stuff. That's that. Well, not blowingly, of course, but
Oh, I know what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah. Just
And yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I remember in the early days whenever I was getting into social media, I would post stuff 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day on formerly Twitter, and I would do it for a couple weeks, and it would literally get like 1 like, and I would just be, "Oh, what do I oh, no. Oh, maybe I should quit." So I can totally relate to that, and you answered that correctly, like, you're not gonna quit, so you may as well just stick to it, and the thing how it's going to happen, maybe it'll be this podcast, maybe it'll be some other podcast, but you're going to be super consistent, and then you're going to have one podcast that really blows up, and it's going to give you a ton of subscribers, a ton of views, and all of that. That's what's happened to me. That's what I've done for clients of mine as well. Like, we'll just put them on a, we call it a podcast circuit. We'll get them on a podcast circuit, boom, 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 and then one, two, three, the podcast really pops off. All these people come into the podcast, and your advantage is, since you're actually interviewing people, like, you can hack into their audience. That's the way you should view it. So you can get me on, you can get some other person on, you can get this person on, and like, their audience is going to come to your channel. And if you have an interesting story, if you have interesting videos, if everything's designed, and it's just attractive to that person, you just got subscribers, and you now have more viewers and all that type of stuff. I won't name drop him, but about a year and a half ago, I had a friend of mine. I did a podcast with him, and his goal was hit $15,000 a month. And I broke down. I was basically the same conversation you and I are having. Here's how you're going to leverage your podcast, start getting more clients, building up an audience. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. He's making right around $45,000 a month, a year and a half later. So, and this is after years of him literally flying and going here and going there. He was doing in-person podcasts. I was like one of the first, I think, virtual. But he was spending all this money to get guests on and to fly here and have the equipment. And he was at the brink of just quitting because he was like, bro, this, I may as well just stick it with my job that is paying me a decent wage. I was like, no, keep doing what you're doing. Need to make a few little tweaks here, start focusing on some medium to big fish on the whole, like, social media scene, and you need to gear it towards people that want to expose their audiences to like more content, more products through podcast. And you can do this. Here's how you're going to set up your service. And anyways, like, at some point after that, he did a podcast with a really big person. The podcast blew up. That person referred them to another person. That podcast, like, episode blew up, and yeah, he's absolutely crushing it. And so, yeah, it comes down to, and this is what happened for on my end. I realized I reached a point where I was only making a couple grand a month, and this was after I moved away from America. And that's a whole funny story we can talk about later or whatever, unless you're interested. But it's making a couple grand a month, and I just reached a point. I was like, Dylan, you are literally living abroad right now. You can't go back because that's basically admitting that you're a loser, that you were wrong. What else are you going to be doing? You're just going to end up getting a 9 to 5. You're going to figure this stuff out. And it was me having that realization, having that epiphany, and realizing I'm going to do whatever it takes. There were months on end where I would literally live a week to a week. So I would literally book an Airbnb or a really cheap hotel for like 4, 5, 6, 7 days, find a way to make some, like, do some like side gigs, whatever I could do in the freelancing space. So instead of retainers, I was just doing gig to gig from time to time for however long it took. But I knew I just need to keep money coming in, and I need to keep sticking to the process. And at some point, everything's going to click. And it was around the, I was use the keywords since we'll be on YouTube, but it was around a certain time when people had to walk around with masks.
Yes.
That was when everything really blew up for me. There was like a 10-month period where I was living in Qatar and all I could do was work. I couldn't leave because it was either go back to America or I could stay there and they would keep renewing the visa. And that was when everything super blew up for me. And that was after I, just to put this to perspective, 2014 was when I realized like this was like a year after I graduated or something. I was like, okay, I need to figure something out. And then it was 2019. So 2014 to 2019, that was when I was like just kind of acting like I was a business person and I would do something for a couple months. I'll start seeing some money. That's not going to make me rich. Then I would switch to another opportunity. And I kept playing around. And then like in 2019, or it was 2018, I was like, okay, that I need to get serious. 2018, built up a cleaning business while still doing flipping. 2019, I was like, huh, whenever I focus on something, I actually make some good money. So 2019 focused on freelancing. And then 2019, that was when like everything else started really changing. 2019, 2020, etc. So, but that was after years of me like being like, okay, what am I doing? Let me try this. Let me try this. Let me try this. So, for all of your viewers out there, like you need to test things, of course, but at some point, the only time you're going to find massive success is once you decide, I'm going to become the best possible person, ladies, guy, whatever, at this skill, at this service. And you don't even have to sell a service. You can, I've got a student of mine who makes $25,000 a month. He's early 20s and he literally teaches people how to golf. So it's like all you have to do is just be the best and just keep showing up every single day. And at some point, something's going to change. You'll get lucky.
I think that's a massive. I love that. I love that saying. Get lucky. Work 10 years, growing 60 hours a week just to be called lucky one day. But I
Mhm.
don't. I'll take that. But I think you're right. It's taking yourself seriously. It's realizing
Yeah.
that when you actually start being serious about your life and realizing if you dedicate yourself, if you keep turning up, if you're, I'm gonna be this person. I don't know how. I don't know everything, and you're not meant
Yeah.
to. But I'm going to be this person, regardless
Yeah.
of anything. You For me, once I committed, that was it. I just couldn't turn back. I think even in the very beginning, I was probably a bit too stubborn and didn't pivot where I needed to pivot. But
Mhm.
you learn so many lessons by being that way. That's the best part. Is it's either you win or you learn.
Yeah.
That's it. And then you eventually you win even more. So Dylan, you wake up tomorrow morning, everything's vanished, your team, all your businesses, and you are starting from scratch. What are the first three steps you take?
Step number one, go to Twitter. Number two, step two, look for a crypto guy that's flexing. Step number three, rob them. I'm kidding.
Love it.
Kidding.
No, let's go with that. That's the best answer I've heard.
No, I mean immediately. So when you say everything's vanished, you mean like my contacts, everything?
Oh, I'm 50-50 because I feel like contacts is something that could. No, we'll keep the contacts. We'll keep the it's a
Yeah.
little bit
So
easier with contacts, but we'll keep them.
yeah, I mean immediately I would just look over my contacts because I've got good relationships with them. And I would think about ways that I could add some kind of value, and I would literally just message them and find some way to create some value, and then from there, and it depends on the level of the contact. Let's say it's somebody like I actually have known for years, but hey, bro, this just happened. I need to get some extra cash flow coming in. Here's what I'm going to do for you. Boom, boom, boom. I'll get 2 grand in, 5 grand, 10 grand, whatever, from all these different people. And then simultaneously, I would relaunch on social media, whether it's on X, whether it's on Instagram. I'd probably do both. And then I would tell all the homies, hey, I got banned. This happened. This happened. Let's super promote or promote these new accounts. I'll start building up my social media account again. I'll start creating content because obviously, even though I've got a lot of people that know me, it would still take me months to build up the social media account. So I would immediately get into using the free version of ChatGPT to help me create tweets, give me content topics for Instagram videos. I would start posting 3 Instagram reels a day. I would start doing Instagram lives. I would be on Periscope, so I'd be doing lives on X, and start doing outreach because you need to get the money in. But I would use that initial money from talking to my contacts because this is the thing about that I want everybody to understand is like you need to become that guy, that girl for whatever you want to be known for. You need to be known as somebody that's actually their own time, they're valuable, they're not just self-interested. Everybody's self-interested, but you find ways to create win-win scenarios for people. and then just be that reliable person. Like people that have known me for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, they know I'm that guy that they can text or call, and I'm always reliable. And so you need to be building up a good reputation around yourself, around your brand, so the content you're putting out there, you don't just say stupid stuff like calling out 9 to 5 people. You don't scam the audience. Like you're always that person that's there to be of use, be of value to your network of people, your contacts. Like help them out. Like if they drop a book, promote the book. If they're in town, show them a good time. Like whenever somebody visits me in Dubai, like I don't really go out drinking and clubbing and all that, but like although Rory did get me the other night. But outside of that, like I'll show them a good time. Bro, you got to check out this restaurant. Let's go. How's 8 p.m. Work this Wednesday? Something like that. So you need to build up a solid network of people around you with shared values. So if I had to start over, I would immediately go through my contact list of all these different people that I could offer some kind of value to. So I still have the knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd still
Yeah,
have the
yeah, you
knowledge.
still keep all the
Yeah.
knowledge.
Easy. So I would literally go through my contact list, find different ways. Like for this person, I might do a consult for them for 2 grand. I don't know. For this person, hey, bro, here's a product idea I just came up with. Boom. Hey, here's some content topics. But like there's all these different moves that I could make. And it would be like in the trenches, starting at zero. And I would offer value, get some quick cash flow coming in so I don't get kicked out. And then from there, yeah, like I said, just grow my social media presence once again and get an initial boost from my obviously network, but it would take time to rebuild the presence. So yeah, no, I would just do it from ground zero again. Obviously, I would have some superpowers this time, but that's what I would definitely do.
So no panicking, no crying, no saying, "Oh, life's not fair. This isn't good. I'm going hurt." Like no quitting. No, we just go straight back, do it
I
again.
I'm a little weird from the standpoint of I would view it from the standpoint of, oh, God wants me to rebuild in a different way, and He's wanting me to show people or show myself. It would be some kind of lesson. That's just how my mind automatically reframes. Like this is a couple months ago. My Instagram, it got targeted because I was talking about Christianity. It got banned, got it back, banned, got it back, banned, got it back, banned, got it back. And you would think that I would be annoyed, like my girl was whatever was like, aren't you mad? I was, no, it's all good. I'll just start a new one. You know what? Maybe I'll just start a new Instagram account and make it a Christian page. And I ended up getting the page back, so everything's good. But yeah, that's the way I view things. Now, if you asked me this 6, 7 years ago, for sure, I would be freaking out, like, "Oh my god!" Oh, thinking the worst. But at this point, I would probably just laugh. Like I might initially be like annoyed, but I would just laugh about it. There's something that actually happened about a year and a half ago that I'm not going to talk about publicly, but it was kind of a not the same situation, but it was something that most people would be like, "I'm done. I'm quitting everything." But I just laughed. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, whatever."
Yeah.
And this must be some kind of lesson. And the way I reframed it was I actually started getting a little too comfy with being at the top, and I started stagnating a little bit. I was like, okay, well, time to start working even harder. And because of that, I ended up launching this other project that I would have never launched before. And if once again, if I wouldn't have gone through that scenario, I wouldn't have this other project. If I didn't have that scenario, I wouldn't have ended up creating some of the best content in the HC and the SMCA. And we've got some new upgrades coming, by the way. But anyways, so it's like you need to have these challenges happen and not take it personally, not think that you're unlucky or unworthy or God's trying to punish you. Instead, you need to view it in a positive light. Like, what's the lesson you're learning from this? Like, if you get your Instagram account banned, great. Now you can rebuild it the way you actually want to build it. Before, maybe you were just trying to figure out what actually worked. Now you know what works and you can do it the correct way. So there's always some kind of positive spin that you can put on anything.
No, I completely agree. I always like the saying of like God's testing me. So anytime something, I'll always say to my missus, "I'm just that guy. I'm just the man. Turn up." And then when something bad happens, I'm like, I'm not. My ego's too involved. Then I'm not going to be the guy walking around saying I'm the guy, and then any bit of controversy comes my way, and I just crumble and cry. It's not. It's
Yeah.
never going to happen. God tests you. So you want to get bigger muscles. God's going to test you because you're going to be in pain at the gym. You want
Yeah.
to earn more money. God's going to test you. You got to put the time in. There's always something. You've got to pay for something. If you want the reward, you've got to pay for it. So, and I think it's the best mindset to have because then you're never the victim, which is the
Mhm.
worst mentality you can have.
Oh,
without a doubt.
100%.
You're having a dinner conversation with one of your favorite entrepreneurs or business members. They can be dead or alive. Who would you go with and why?
I would be super interested in speaking to Tony Robbins. Like, I don't really consume much of his content anymore. I did probably, I don't know, a decade ago. Because I think he's a business genius, a marketing genius. Like, I don't know much about his story, but I know that he pretty much came from nothing. And
Yeah,
I want to say his net worth is like 4, 5, maybe 300 million. I don't know what it is, 3 to 500 million. So clearly he knows something that most people don't. And he's also revolutionized a lot of how those industries operate. And I know God, I think he said he has like 100 something businesses or something, which that can be taken with a grain of salt. Maybe he only owns like 1%. And he's, oh, okay, I own 100 businesses, but it's like 1% of all these businesses. So I would love to sit down and talk to him and ask him various questions. Obviously, I would have to prepare. Like, I wouldn't just get up from here and go down and hang out
yeah.
with Tony Robbins. Like, I would actually want to sit down, have some good questions planned out to really understand his mind and all of that. And yeah, I would definitely, I would probably pick him.
So with Tony Robbins, do you know like a famous quote or lesson, like a key thing about him that you'd highlight, sort of like as your say your favorite
Mhm.
moment of his?
I don't know enough about him, to be honest, bro. Like,
Okay.
I watched some of his stuff probably 10 years ago. Like him, people walking on fire. I just think he's a genius from the standpoint of how he's been able to take the way the human mind works and reframe it, repackage it in a completely different way, and has made so much money while simultaneously he's changed people's lives, which is that's a great combo, making a lot of money,
Yeah.
changing a lot of lives. I've seen him cure people of various things, not diseases, but like just mental things, just by getting them to reframe it in their mind. I know he's worked with certain three-letter organizations. He's worked with presidents. So clearly, like, he's not just one of those like gurus that just sells 1999 mindset books. Like, he's worked with high-level government people all the way to regular people. But like I said, I don't know enough about him to where I could like
Yeah.
literally quote him. I think, yeah, oh yeah, one of his books is Awaken the Giant Within, which, to be honest, was a very boring book. I read like 10 pages of it. I was just like, this is not for me. I've heard some people swear by it. But I just like it from the business standpoint, the marketing standpoint, to see how he views things, how he views reality. I know he owns like an island or something. Cool. Hopefully he's not on some like Epstein stuff. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. He's got
Yeah.
an
There's
island. That's a flex. And he's legendary. So yeah, I would definitely like to pick his mind on how he operates from a standpoint of marketing, organizational structures. Because if you're running 100 different companies, that takes a lot of brain power, bandwidth that would drive anybody insane. So, and actually, now that I'm saying that, now it's making me want to change it to Elon Musk. We'll keep it at Tony Robbins. We'll keep it at Tony.
That's tough. Yeah, that's a tough pivot that, but because as you say, Elon Musk, how could you not? There's
Yeah.
loads. There are plenty. Especially, I recently listened to MrBeast episode about like just the amount of businesses he runs, and the like you say, the bandwidth to jump from business to business to business. So you imagine applying that to 100
Yeah.
is just,
100%.
yeah. I wouldn't. Just about doing two at the moment. So yeah, I'll stick with that. Finally, Dylan, I just want to touch on. So obviously, I'm a short form video editor.
Mhm.
So I just want to sort of basically provide you with the chance to curate your own short, because of course I'm going to make hundreds out of this podcast. So provide you a chance to curate your own short that
Mhm.
I'll post, and obviously either tag yourself in it or just on YouTube. So
Yeah.
if you could have one key message within your short that's about either your brand, yourself, or a key sort of lesson or story, what would you go down lines with, or what would you
Mm.
choose?
I don't know. I mean, the God stuff I think was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think the Taylor Welch thing would do good views. I think Tony Robbins would do some pretty good views. Uh, the lesson that we were talking about with people working 9 to 5 and viewing it as a stepping stone, I think that would do very well. So, yeah, I mean, you can just pick them all, but we should definitely just mass push this to everybody. Every single person needs to watch this episode.
100%. I was saying to my girlfriend when we were first initially speaking about this, I have a set structure when it comes to my podcast, the shorts, the clips. Said if I
Yeah.
interview somebody, especially like yourself, it's getting tripled. Like this is I am milking this episode like
Oh, for sure. Milk
completely. Like
literally, even if it's like a 10-second, 20-second clip, Just
Oh, yeah.
post all over.
Tagging everyone, tagging Tony Robbins, tagging MrBeast, tagging Elon. Everyone's gonna be involved in this episode. Watch the titles that I put for YouTube as well. They're just gonna be keyword to insane. If you were gonna include sort of like a CTA,
Mhm.
either for this episode or for the key lessons, what would you love the viewers to ultimately go and do from this episode? What key lessons would you like them to take and go and implement right now?
Yeah, I mean, for anybody who's watching this right now, I want you to stop reading so many books. I want you to stop doubting yourself so much, thinking that all these other people have some secret answer that you just simply haven't figured out. And just focus on actually doing something for once. Like the phone that I've got right here, the webcam, this mic, it was just from a guy or a girl that decided, I want to create a better mic. So you need to look at things that you're actually interested in and find a way to make it a little bit better and just put it out to the world. And who cares? Like you have to stop worrying so much about what other people think about you, what their opinions are, because their opinions are going to change. Like whenever I was on my come up, a family member of mine was like, Dylan, you were going to be a 26-year-old working an entry level job. Literally told me that to my face. He was like, you're never going to amount to anything if you keep going down this path. You need to go to university. You need to do this, blah, 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 blah. And I ignored it. By the time I was 27, yeah, 27, I was making more than they were making. And this person was in their 50s whenever they told me that. So I'm not saying completely ignore everybody's advice, but ignore everybody's advice.
Yeah.
Like hear them out, be respectful, but don't apply it to your life and just add some urgency to your life. So many of you, you'll get bored and you start going like this. Or you turn on the Netflix, you'll do everything except actually just sitting down and actually doing something. And I get it with social media, with AI, with various like maybe you're living paycheck to paycheck. It's very easy. You want to numb yourself to the world around you, but it's going to be more painful if you spend the next 10, 20 years of your life and you look back because we're all getting older. I've got some gray hair right here. We're
I
all
know,
getting older.
that's why I shave the hedge, can't see the greys if I do that.
We're all getting older. And so you may as well just start living the life you actually want to now. Stop putting it off into some future timeline when you're ready, when your parents approve of it, when this person approves of it, when you've got this piece of paper that they claim is going to get you a better job. Just start doing stuff now. Whether you've got a 9 to 5, you can do this on the side, whatever. Just start doing it and stop worrying so much about the expectations of other people because their expectations are not going to get you children. They're not going to put food on the table, put money in your pocket. Like, so just hear their opinions out, but you need to do your own thing.
Yeah, I think that massive right there is you
Mhm.
can be respectful. You can understand that. I always like to try and see if there's a lesson, whether it's a positive lesson or a negative lesson you can learn from everybody. So if it's somebody you don't want to be like, listen to them, don't do it. Or if it's somebody you do want to be like, same, just do it. There's always a lesson to be learned. And especially when it comes to the excuses and the being who you want to be, it hit me massively when I first had my son. And I remember sort of raising him thinking, one day I'm going to say to him, you can be who you want to be.
Mhm.
I'm all going to be able to look at myself and say, oh, I did the same thing because I'm his social proof. If I always say you're going to be, you can be anything, he's going to look at me and be like, well, Dad, did you want to be in your 50s working a job, 9 to 5, being
Yep.
told when you can have your holiday? No, of course I didn't. So now I got to be that example to him. And that was the killer lesson for me. So now till I get there, I'm just working till I get there. It's
I
end
super
of,
like that.
yeah, it's my
Yeah, that's
favorite.
something that other people don't realize is like so many parents, and I'm not a parent, but so many parents, they want to let TikTok raise their kids, and they wonder why their kids don't amount to anything. Like you are the best influence and the number one influence for your children. So if you want to tell your children positive messages, well, you may as well get your life in order now. And that's something that I've kind of viewed the world as since I was like 18, 19 years old. Is I would always ask myself, and this is what kept me out of like just doing stupid stuff that like early 20-year-olds do is I was like, would I want my son to do this right now? Or what would my son think about me? Or what would I think of my son if he was doing this? And so I would constantly remind myself of that. And then that's actually what led me to creating a blog way back in the day and documenting various things. Like there's pictures of me being super, super fat. I was documenting that. People think, oh, Dylan's just doing it for social media. And I was actually documenting it so I could literally show my future children this is me at this age. This is me at this age. This is me at this age. These are my thoughts. Here's where I was traveling. Here's where I'm at now. Because that would just be super cool. Like
Yeah.
if my dad showed me this is what I was literally thinking about when I was this age, and this is my mindset at this time. This is how I viewed money. This is how I viewed marriage and women. This is how I went to this country. Like that would be badass. So I want to be able to provide that to my future sons, my future daughters.
That's a massive reason, funnily enough, why I actually started the podcast because I thought I've started to get a little bit of success from episode one. I'd already closed my first client and everything like that. I thought, well, this is the groundwork. I've learned, I've done the initial learn a skill. I've been posting on social media. The consistency for me is just easy. If I start something, I'll think of day 365 rather than tomorrow. That's
Yeah,
just how I've been wired. And exactly that is it's showing them like if you want social proof, go and watch all of Dad's 500 episodes. Look at number one and look at number 500 now. Look at the one I'm going to
yeah,
record. D- y- having that sort of long term thinking and having that influential mindset, it applies to everything because I think if you've got aspirations to have kids at any point, you want to be the best version for them. So when you think of skipping a day of working out, it's like, well, would I be happy if my son did? No, then I'm not going to do it. And
100%.
exactly like that, applying that to yourself every single day is, yeah, my son's screwed. He's not going to love me at all, but all part of you. Dylan, I want to thank you for your time. This has been great. Just for the viewers, first time meeting you, where can they find you? Where should they go to get some more money bag magic from yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, the best place would be on YouTube. Just go type in at real Dylan Madden. You can also find me on Instagram at real Dylan Madden. And yeah, those would be the two best places. And then from there, you'll find all the other stuff I'm getting into.
Brilliant. And for anybody who struggles with that one, by all means, go check more socials out because I'll be tagging Dylan as soon as this episode's released in everything. He will be tagged. He'll be putting the title. He'll be putting the description. He's going to be. I'm turning my account into Dylan Madden's account. That's what I'm doing. I'm tapping into. Is it 24,000 you're on now, Dylan, or is it 28,000 on YouTube?
I have no idea, bro. Like I'm in a transitionary period where I'm moving out of my 6 bedroom villa in Dubai. We're moving out of that. So I don't know if I'm gonna have a house for a while. Like there's so
Yeah.
many, like the gardeners and then all the bedrooms and the furniture. So we're moving out. We're in a transitionary period. I've already secured my other place in another country, which I'll talk about in the coming months. But yeah, I've secured that spot. So I'm in a transitionary period now. So as far as YouTube, I'm going to be going crazy once I get fully
Yeah.
moved in. So I've already got all the content planned out. We're going to have a proper studio. I've got the person there. They've already got the lighting, the cameras, all that stuff. So we've got everything ready. As soon as I am like moved in and settled, we'll be blowing that thing up. So I'm trying not to really watch how many views, subscribers, or anything. I've just got some random videos I'm throwing out there.
Thank you again, Dylan.
Awesome. Take care, bro.